we're going to dig deeper into two distinct food cultures. We're going to take a look at food culture in South Korea and in a country called Ethiopia. So for our next activity, you're going to need the World Food Culture Gallery chart, which was attached to this video. So make sure you have that with you. Once you print that off, it's a sheet that looks like this. It says I am from worksheet, and it's going to give you an opportunity to compare the difference between the South Korean family we're going to see and the Ethiopian family we're going to see. You're going to get to look at things that are different from what you and your family practice. You're also going to be able to make some comments on what you see that is similar. But before we jump into this and start looking at the photos, let's make sure we look at a map and know exactly where these two countries are.
So let's take a look at where South Korea is. Notice it is in East Asia between the Sea of Japan and the Yellow Sea. Ethiopia, on the other hand, is in Northeast Africa. Ethiopia is landlocked and does not have any coastline. These geographic features will play a factor in each country's food culture. Let's take a look at a South Korean family dinner. Think about how your family eats together. How is the family dining in a way that is different or similar to your family? Notice the family is sitting on the floor, which is different than in the United States. There is a large silver grill on the table, maybe for cooking food, and the family is using chopsticks rather than forks. As we look closer at what the family is eating, what do you notice about the type of food in the pictures and the way it is served? How is it different or similar to foods we eat and the way we eat? Notice the fish in the picture is whole. The foods are served in many different small bowls rather than each person having their own plate. They are also using lettuce leaves as wraps rather than bread. And rice is a common staple with every meal. Now let's take a look at an Ethiopian family dinner. Once again, let's look at how this family is eating together and compare it to the way your family eats together. Notice the family is sitting around a low table. And as opposed to having many different dishes, the family is eating off of shared plates. Now let's take a closer look at the Ethiopian food. The foods are eaten off of one big platter without serving utensils. They use a form of flatbread to pick up the food. The texture of the food seems to be rather mushy, and there's not very much meat. People normally eat most of this food using the bread and using their hands. After looking at these pictures of two different cultures of food, let's go back to our sheet and fill some of our blanks in. Let's talk about what's different and similar to our own family based on the South Korean family's dinner and the Ethiopian family's dinner. Let's review some of our observations and let's go over your worksheet. Remember, in South Korea we noticed there was a whole fish served. Food was served in many different dishes and bowls. Lettuce leaves were used as wraps instead of bread, and rice was served with almost every meal. The Ethiopian family ate off of one big platter without utensils. The food texture was rather mushy, there's not very much meat on the plate, and they ate the food using flatbread or with their hands. So why do you think some of the differences between your food culture and the food culture in the pictures exist? Well, in South Korea they're near the ocean, so there's lots of fish and seaweed available. They grow a lot of rice, and they eat it with almost every meal. In Ethiopia, they eat off the shared platter because family mealtime is very important to their culture. There's not a lot of meat because meat is hard to come by in Ethiopia. They eat a lot of lentils and beans, which grow well there. These are all things that affect our food culture and affect the foods that each country is accustomed to eating.